I don't fully remember, but I remember that it was a very hard time.
Oh my gosh, are you Raven Simone? I'm like, no, I'm not Raven Simone.
Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of two extraordinary sisters who captured our hearts with their incredible talent and resilience. Before they became the iconic stars we know today, Maddie and Kenzie Ziegler had their own unique journeys. But that's not all we're exploring in today's video. We'll uncover some surprising moments from the Dance Moms days, including some cast members who can't quite recall their time on the show. Get ready for an episode filled with inspiring stories, heartwarming moments, and a whole lot of Dance Moms magic. If you're as excited as we are, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's jump right into the incredible lives and stories of Maddie and Kenzie Ziegler and the unforgettable experiences of the Dance Moms cast. Before we talk about any drama that's too crazy, Maddie Ziegler and Kenzie Ziegler both have opened up about their lives before the show, so let's hear it from Maddie first. In this clip from the Amrata podcast, Maddie Ziegler talks about how determined and obsessed Maddie was with dancing right from the very beginning. Like, that kind of determination in a 4-year-old is mind-blowing. And this was years before. I find it odd that Maddie just never mentions the show. She'll always say the show or a show, but she never mentions the name Dance Moms.
I don't know. They're even seeing stuff so weird.
Anyways, let's hear it from Kenzie on what her life was like before the show.
You know, it's honestly really hard to kind of go back and remember everything just because I was so young. But my family dynamic was kind of complicated just because my mom and my dad, from what I can remember, were going through a divorce very, very young. I think I was around 4 years old. And it was just my sister and I in the house. But I think when I turned 5 is when we moved out of my dad's house and moved into just like a random home, just the three of us. I remember that it was a very hard time because I was such a daddy's girl when I was younger. So I think it was definitely more difficult for me than it was for my sister, for sure. I remember core memories, like just important memories. It was hard because I still didn't really understand what was going on. Just because when you're 4, like, you don't understand divorce. And all I just remember was just my dad not being there, and it was just really strange, and I didn't see him that much, so.
To me, it's heartbreaking to hear Kenzie talk about their early lives, especially that she was such a daddy's girl, but yet she didn't get to have that childhood with her dad. And that's what she wrote her latest single about, called Anatomy, where she references a fatherless childhood and mourns the loss of what could have been. But although heartbreaking, it is a tale that many of us have endured ourselves. I was personally a child of divorce. My parents separated when I was about 4 years old as well. But let me know down in the comments below, were you also a child of divorce or separation in your early years? Maddie also talked about the negative long-term effects from being on a show like Dance Moms and how perfectionism has affected her mental health.
I don't have to put
I personally think that it is so brave of Maddie to be so forthcoming and honest about the effects of being on reality television and being the star of the show Dance Moms for so many years, but it just raises so many red flags to me and so many question marks, and it just almost like enrages me, because if you were watching just like I was from the very beginning of Dance Moms, we have been saying this since the very beginning. Who is concerned about the children and the long-term effects of how this show is going to be on their mental health? Long-term perfectionism and all of these high standards placed by a narcissist onto these young children is just way too much for a small, growing child's brain to process. And it's like, where were the parents? How is this coach allowed to train her words, thousands of other dancers, to be under this exact same, like, totalitarian rule? Like, it's just way too much for a child. And then to have all of these children exposed to being on television and exposed to audiences of millions and millions of people that were scrutinizing and criticizing them since young childhood, that is absolutely ruthless. Isn't it crazy looking back, though, just how many of the Dance Mom stars don't even remember their time on the show? I personally remember my childhood all the way back to, like, being 3 years old, but I'm not really sure if that's because I had a traumatic childhood or not, whereas I know that some people actually forget their childhoods or forget giant parts of their childhood that they just black out because of trauma. And I know that other Dance Moms cast members, aside from Kenzie and Maddie, have also expressed the same feelings towards the show. And Chloe doesn't like to watch the show because she doesn't even remember half of this stuff happening in her childhood. And Nia has also come forward and says this is why she wouldn't watch Dance Moms again.
For never, I'm gonna put Dance Moms. I don't want to like offend people, but I lived through it. I don't need to do that again, so never. Never again, at least.
And that is about it from me for today's video. In my next video, I'm going to be talking a lot more about JoJo Siwa and all of the things that she's been saying online recently about her personal life and all of the question marks that that has been raising in the Dance Moms fandom. So if you are interested in that, make sure to stick around, subscribe to my channel, and hit all bell notifications because that video will be coming soon. And before we go, let me know what you guys thought of Kenzie and Maddie's lives before the show and what they said about not really remembering being on the show. And what did you guys think of the fact that Nia would never watch Dance Moms again? Let me know your opinions down in the comments below. And as always, make sure to be weird, be wild, and stay sparkly. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.